ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
And a happy Thanksgiving from all of us here at our ESPN family to you and your family. A different kind of stuffing in store for you from Brooklyn, New York, the second semifinal of the NIT season tip-off, part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. It's the number 19 West Virginia Mountaineers taking on the Fighting Illini of the Big Ten. We already saw one upset in the first semifinal here with Temple taking down 25th ranked Florida State. They advance to tomorrow's championship. Inside the Barclays Center alongside Len Elmore, I'm Rich Hollenberg. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. And that one upset between Temple and Florida State is already in the rearview mirror. What might Illinois have to do to pull off another upset? Because it certainly would be against the 19th round Mountaineers.
Well, first of all, they have to be mentally prepared for the West Virginia defense, which is now called Press Virginia. Most importantly, though, shooting the ball well, because solving the press yields some good looks. And they've got to avoid especially excessive live ball turnovers, as West Virginia looks to press teams into submission.
The Mountaineers, led by Bob Huggins in his 10th season at his alma mater, 35th all-time as a head coach. The 1977 West Virginia grad has 794 career wins, and he is third active among all Division I coaches in that category. On the other sideline, it's John Gross, the 45-year-old in his 5th season in Champaign, 9th overall as a head coach. No NCAA tournaments for the Illini the last 3 years, and they suffered through their worst record last year since 98-99. But the good news for John Gross, they are finally healthy and at full staff, and they should be much more competitive in the Big Ten this year. A veteran roster for the Illini heading into conference play. Well, Len, we talked about West Virginia becoming Press Virginia over the last few years.
Well, this is their identity, and they do it in a fashion that's aggressive, that's physical, and it wears you down both mentally and physically. And they get their offense off of this press, and they'll do it off of makes and misses. And that really wears on teams. They'll make mistakes, mental mistakes, unforced errors, because they've had to focus on trying to break this press throughout the game. And look what it does for West Virginia.
It not only is defensively impressive, as you said, but offensively it's led to, in large part, a 98 per game scoring average. That's top 5 in the nation, albeit through 3 games, but you can expect that and more of that during the season for West Virginia. For the Illinois Fighting Illini, as we said, they are healthy and they are balanced scoring. This is the oldest roster in the Big Ten. They feature 6 seniors, and John Gross told us yesterday during a meeting with him that his seniors hold a meeting once a week to talk about the team, talk about goals, kind of to take the pulse of the team. Gross said he sits in on that meeting and he thinks it's extremely important to the maturation of his club. West Virginia in the white unis, they control the opening tip. That's Javon Carter at the point, who Bob Huggins calls the best on-ball defender he's ever coached.
Well, there was a point in time over the last couple of years where if West Virginia was forced to play half-court basketball, you could be sure they'd have trouble scoring. But this might be one of the best offensive teams in the half-court that Bob Huggins has ever had, as you take a look at Carter just going to the basket at will.
Carter and Adrian at the top of the press. And it's handled by number 1, Jalen Tate. 13 in blue. Tracy Abrams gets trapped in the half court.
And see, they don't stop. Once you beat it, you can't relax. You got to continue to be aggressive.
And Michael Finke with the baseline jumper to open the scoring for the Illini.
Yeah, Finke's been in double figures in 4 of the last 5 games. And he's one of those guys that can certainly stretch a defense.
Especially in the half court, this offense will run through number 11, Nathan Adrian. He misses the offensive rebound opportunity, and here come the Illini.
And again, they press off of misses. They drop back to half court, set it up, and this is what you got to do.
And Finke's 2 for 2 with that 3-pointer.
And what did I say? When you solve this press, it yields good looks, and you can't be afraid to exploit them.
Michael Finke had 109 threes a year ago. From the corner, no good. Offensive rebound to make it. And he'll have a chance at a 3-point play. Elijah Macon, a 6'9" junior out of Columbus, Ohio.
Well, just a nice job of staying relentless and persevering on the glass as Macon got good position and held that spot.
Through 3 games this season, the Mountaineers average over 43 rebounds a game. They have a plus 8.7 rebounding margin. It's a big part of their offense. And Macon completes the 3-point play. We're tied at 5.
And you can see Finke maybe going to that ball with dread, taking his time because he knows he's got to inbound it. And they got to get past.
There's Tariq Phillip and Nathan Adrian. And the foul is called.
You got to get past that phalanx of defenders.
And this is something you just asked Bob Huggins not 15 minutes ago about how the interpretation of the rules and the cylinder and all of that comes into play against the West Virginia press.
Yeah, Bob said it hasn't really had any impact. And, you know, obviously I take him at his word. He knows better than I do. But in a press like this where there's a lot of bump and grind, a lot of getting up in the grill of the offensive player, I have to believe that as you start to play better teams, guys who are more fundamentally sound with the ball, that they're going to have some fouls called this year that normally wouldn't be.
Tracy Abrams finally healthy after missing 2 full seasons in Champaign, and he's playing some of his best basketball right now.
Yeah, the 6-year senior, you know, has had to deal with an onslaught of injuries throughout his career, and, you know, finally rewarded to getting this 1 year where he's healthy.
Tariq Phillip answers at the other end, and the offense performing well at both ends of the floor.
The score is tied at 7.
2.5 minutes in, no turnovers so far for Illinois. That's good news.
And if you can get that ball to the middle, that's where you can beat that pressure as it zones you up. And good offensive rebounding as well.
Maverick Morgan chips in with his first 2 off the offensive rebound. Foul's going to go on number 1, Jalen Tate. That's the 2nd team foul for the Illini. Well, Illinois is led by one of the most unheralded superstars in college basketball, number 21, Malcolm Hill. What does John Gross like to do offensively?
Well, he's going to run a lot of high screens. They like to play high screen. If they can get the penetration, they certainly will go after it. As we take a look at Carter with a nice job just on the inbounds pass, makes enough room for himself to knock down that jumper.
Both teams shooting it well in the early going.
Now, when you talk about what do they like to do, that's against a normal kind of defense. Against this kind of defense where you have to scramble, the first order of business is to get it into the front court.
Coleman lands his first shot off the mark. He's a 3-point specialist.
And then oftentimes against that kind of defense, the first good look opportunity where you can create off the bounce or you can get a wide open jump shot and send your rebounders to the offensive glass, you got to take that.
They're working in the paint. Here's Issa Ahmad. Gives it off to Brandon Watkins. Little big-to-big passing there. You must like that, Len.
Oh, absolutely. Good interior passing, good communication, and the ability to knock down that 12-footer on the baseline is invaluable.
Illinois coming off an upset loss in overtime to Winthrop, 84-80 in Champaign. Performing well in the early going here against 19th ranked West Virginia despite that block. .50 to go. We got a good one so far. West Virginia with a 3-point lead.
Yeah, these guys are starting to play well. Their offense is flowing, and when the bigs are playing with each other, they're tough.
They were 5-13 in the Big Ten. They finished in 12th place, and they had 7 players miss a combined 101 games to injuries. But this year they turned the page because John Gross's club is healthy, and they're led by that young man, Malcolm Hill.
Well, I'll tell you, in talking to John Gross, he says that he's got good talent. There's no question about it, but they need what he considers synchronicity. Now, usually synchronicity talks about random occurrences that when close together don't seem to be coincidences. And I think there were no coincidences as his team starts to gel. But it really does come down to having experienced guys all play together. Remember, Abrams missed 2 years. He's an integral part of this team. They've got to learn how to play with each other. Hill, Finke, Morgan, all of those guys especially with the talent that they have. But it takes a while to be able to gel, and you can see it in their loss to Winthrop. Turned the ball over 22 times, and particularly in critical times down the stretch. And a lot of it just had to do with miscommunication.
Tavon Myers in at the point. He's putting the full court pressure on. And it's picked off. There's the first turnover for West Virginia.
Too much handle. Once he'll put his head down and he lifts up, that defense shifts. They're not standing still.
Carter. Good handle from number 2 in White. 8 on the shot clock. There's Myers, found a seam.
And we talked about West Virginia having an outstanding half-court offense, something that they had a little difficulty with over the last couple of years. But right now, you can see they've got their rhythm. They know who to go to, and they know how to create. Last time Illinois had the ball, take a look. Now watch, he'll turn and put his head down. Once he puts his head down right there, all of these guys are moving in. They're going to wind up stepping up and doing what they need to do in order to make the interception. You can't take your eye off the rest of the defense. You have to keep your head up. And his teammates can't stand still. They've got to move to the open spots.
John Gross's club played so well the first 5 minutes of this game, and yet they find themselves down by 6 in the midst of, on the bad side of an 8-0 run.
But it's not just about breaking the press. That also sometimes gets your attention and your focus, and you forget about playing solid half-court defense.
There's some solid half-court offense from Mike Thorne Jr. Knocks down his first bucket in the paint. He'll have a chance at a three-point play.
Big fella Mike Thorne Jr., strong presence in the paint. Transfer from Charlotte. And actually had problems last year of being hurt. This is kind of his real first foray. Playing a few games last year, his first foray into being an integral part of this Illinois Illini team.
Absolutely. He was just cleared for 5-on-5 play last October.
Only played 8 games last season. Nice movement.
Nathan Adrian's first 2 points coming in his 107th career game as a West Virginia Mountaineer. And there's turnover number 2.
One big mistake by Finke on that. You cannot stand under the basket. You're under the basket trying to inbound the ball. You can't throw the long pass. You got to move yourself away. After a make, you can run that baseline. You know, you've got to shift as well if you're the inbound passer.
And on the inbounds, the foul is going to go on number 5. Jalen Coleman lands, the 6'3" sophomore out of Indianapolis. West Virginia's made their last 6 shots. If their offense is clicking, and you know their defense is going to be tenacious, they're going to be a tough out all season long. Here's Daxter Miles Jr., and his first shot of the season is a three-pointer. You talk about the rich getting richer and the deep getting deeper. Daxter Miles playing in his first game of the season, contributing instantly.
Yeah, he is a player for this team. Due to illness, he hadn't played this year, the first game that he's played. Last year, averaged 9 points in 25 minutes. The only weakness that you can see in his game as far as West Virginia is concerned is that only 57% from the line.
The Mountaineers starting off 8 for 10 from the field.
Can't get under the basket either.
And that's going to be a kick ball. Your officials today, Pat Driscoll, Brian O'Connell, and Lamar Simpson.
Once again, when Finke enters the ball, now he's in a spot throwing situation. He can't run up and down that baseline. But once he inbounds the ball, instead of coming out underneath his own basket, he's got to get to a point where he's got a better angle to help the guy being doubled.
Good catch by DJ Williams at midcourt. He fires, quick offense, no.
Can't be afraid to take those shots. You're not going to make them all, but you take those shots as long as you know you got offensive rebounders coming to your rescue.
0 guarding 0. Williams on Myers. Miles. 1 for 2 now. And John Gross is hot under the collar. I think he feels, he didn't say this to me, but I think read between the lines, he's going to have a battle with the officials today as much as with West Virginia today.
Well, again, the officials trying to enforce the edicts that have been handed down. You got to play smart. And the officials are going to review it for a flagrant. That's the biggest reason in a situation like that. The only reason they can go back and review this. Can't call it coming. Take a look at it again.
Hard to see what happened there.
Yeah, it looked like it was inadvertent by DJ Williams trying to block out. Gets that arm up. Now the question is whether that was excessive.
That's Brian O'Connell with the headsets on the left. Lamar Simpson on the right. Veteran officiating crew here in Brooklyn today.
I'd like to look at it again to see if he was being grabbed in the first place. Because oftentimes the offensive player can grab the arm of the defender, and as soon as the defender tries to shed him, you know, he can give a little thespian action there. One more time.
Yeah, at the end there, it looked like you saw DJ Williams chuck.
We're
but
just seeing
you don't
the
know what
end,
happened
right.
before. Exactly.
There it is right there. The block out. He swung his right arm. No question about it. And that is definitely a foul. The question is whether or not they consider it a flagrant. And he just calls it a common foul now. Good job.
Okay, Lamar Simpson comes over and confirms what Len just told us. Common foul, no flagrant.
Well, you got three of the best in the business right now, so you can take it to the bank. Between Pat Driscoll, Brian O'Connell, and Lamar Simpson, they know what they're doing.
Carter inbounds underneath. 13:40 to go. West Virginia looking sharp in the early going. And a zone defense now by the Illini. Trying to mix things up on this West Virginia offense.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I've known John Groats and what he's done over the years. That's not his primary defense, but I'm sure he feels like, one, they've got to do something to stop some of the jump shooting and the ball movement. But what that does yields opportunity for offensive rebounding for West Virginia.
5 on the shot clock. Adrian, shot fake, extra pass, knocks it down. That's Daxter Miles in his second three of the afternoon.
And that's always the trouble that I have with zones against a good ball moving team. And that's a nice job right there by DJ Williams to run the baseline. Even though the ball was knocked out of bounds, at least you have a better angle to get to the cutters and inbound the ball. But one of the problems with the zone is that you're in a scramble mode once they start moving the ball. And teams with the intent on sharing the ball are going to find a way to get it to the open guy. And there's always going to be an open player.
A 16-2 West Virginia run has staked them to a 23-11 lead. 7 minutes gone by in the first half. Williams inbounds from the corner. And it's nearly another turnover. Here's Abrams trapped on the wing.
And that's talking about the physical brand. You're going to get bumped. You're going to get jostled. You got to be strong with it.
Here's Hill, almost lost it. 3 on the shot clock. Hill fires. And an air ball, shot clock violation. You could already see the frustration mounting on the Illinois offensive side.
And see, it's not enough just to break the pressure. You've got to have a plan to be able to attack the rim. You know, oftentimes teams will relax once they get in the front court. West Virginia doesn't allow you to relax.
Maverick Morgan checks back in, one of the starters for John Gross's club, as does LaRon Black, who played his first game of the season last time out against Winthrop and contributed 10 points and 4 rebounds. Lance Black, 12 in blue, guarding Nathan Adrian.
And this zone is kind of a 3-2. You got a three-man front matching up.
Watkins with a nice pass down low, and the foul's called. I've been impressed in the early going with the deftness of the big men for West Virginia in the passing situations.
Yeah, they're skilled. There's no question about it. That's probably what helps make this offense flow. The fact that you got guys you can go inside out. You got guys who can be conduits, step up to the top. You see the travel right there?
That one's a traveling violation on 15 in white Lamont West, and that's the first turnover for Bob Huggins' Mountaineers. And nearly 8 minutes has gone by in the first half. And Bob letting him hear about it just a little bit.
Hey, he's telling them, we don't make turnovers, we create turnovers.
Here's Abrams on the left side.
And look how quickly West Virginia gets their guys back below the line of ball to set up more trapping. They don't let you get to the rim. They don't let you penetrate off of a pass.
Hill? No. And the rebound goes to West Virginia, and a foul on top of that by Illinois. West Virginia imposing their will in the opening moments of the first half. It's given everybody, Len Elmore, Rich Hollenberg, and the rest of our ESPNU crew, the NIT season tip-off from Brooklyn, New York in the Barclays Arena, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's, where West Virginia, ranked 19th in the country, has a 23-11 lead over the Fighting Illini. A quick look at our Battle for Atlantis bracket, and the Baylor Bears, conference impressive win. They've already beaten Oregon and VCU, and now they add a Michigan State pelt on the wall, and Wichita State and Louisville are going on right now. I know Louisville had an early lead in that game. But Len, it's interesting to watch these West Virginia Mountaineers in person. You look at the stat sheets and you say, well, Illinois only committed 4 turnovers. West Virginia forces 27 a game, so they must be doing something right, and yet they're down by a dozen.
Well, I'll tell you what they do right. Illinois has committed 4 turnovers, but so has West Virginia. The difference is Illinois hasn't been able to capitalize on West Virginia's turnovers. 0 points off those 4, whereas West Virginia, almost the max. 8 points off of the 4 turnovers that they've forced. So not only do they turn you over, they convert them at an efficient rate.
First point for Issa Ahmad. And he knocks down both free throws to extend the West Virginia lead to 25-11.
That's right, you got to move along that baseline to get that good angle. Now the key is to keep the ball in the middle. Nice job there with a V-cut.
Now Illinois gets in their set offense.
But they can't get too set because you can't relax here. West Virginia will throw a double team on you at any moment.
5 on the shot clock. Black rises up and knocks it down. Good jumper at short range from LaRon Black.
And Rich, you mentioned it. Breaking that pressure and getting that shot took 25 seconds. You know, and if you don't wind up with a good look and a basket, you know, you've wasted the opportunity. And a lot of time is ticked off. Whereas West Virginia, they're looking for shots quickly. They get them off the turnovers in converting. The next thing you know, you're way down. And you don't have enough possessions to catch up.
That's a rare empty possession for the Mountaineers offense.
Middle.
It's a half-court trap. Middle is open. Black kicks it. Abrams around and out.
Can't get a better shot than that considering this. Ball goes in the middle. You got an opportunity to turn opposite and catch West Virginia in their rotation.
Nice look down low again. Big-to-big passing. And Brandon Watkins, the beneficiary. He has 4 points. Man, Len, Javon Carter is a blur getting that ball down the court.
It certainly is. Again, that's what helps the West Virginia offense.
And the 5-second violation won't be the first time that happens against a team that West Virginia's playing.
And you saw John Gross show his guys what the cut should be instead of allowing them just to kind of run like chickens with their heads cut off.
Returning for Illinois, number 5, Jacob Coleman-Lang.
He told us yesterday one of the keys for his team, as simple as it sounds, is stay poised.
And the reason is they're going to be turnovers. This is, one of the best pressure schemes in the nation in college basketball. So you're going to turn the ball over. The best are going to turn it over. The question is to have amnesia. Turn the page.
Offensive rebound, no. And we're going the other way.
You turn it over, you forget about it. Next play.
West Virginia foul called against number 11, Nathan Adrian.
Nathan Adrian whistled for that foul.
And that was a good example. After turning it over, Illinois continued to fight in that possession and ultimately got it back.
Issa Ahmad takes Adrian's place on the floor. Adrian won't sit very long.
And this is a spot throw in, so again, Finke can't run the baseline. Got to let it go. You notice the effort to stay in the middle right now.
West Virginia doesn't like the call, but
that's an easy one. Easy call. That was a block.
It is a defensive foul. And Bob Huggins pleading his case. Hugs recently voted the coach other coaches would most likely want to have a beer with after a game. And it's not because of the X's and O's, I can't tell you that, although his team is playing like a top 10 team, not necessarily just a top 20 team right now.
We just look right there. That's the other casualty in this pressure. Mental mistakes. They wear you down so much. That ball was passed, no one there to receive it. And West Virginia once again takes full advantage.
Illinois calls a timeout, down 16 with 9:40 to go. It's rivalry weekend and Saturday at noon Eastern on ABC. I don't know if you heard, but Ohio State and Michigan are playing, Len. Number 2 Buckeyes, number 3 Wolverines from the Horseshoe in Columbus.
Well, now that Maryland is in the Big Ten, you got to pay attention to that stuff.
Here's a look at the college football playoff as it stands now. 3 of the top 6 teams coming from the Big Ten, Ohio State and Michigan, as we talked about. Alabama is 1, and no one else at this point is even close. And Clemson still holding on to that 4 spot, but Washington and Wisconsin lurking behind at numbers 5 and 6. West Virginia's football team lost a tough one last weekend to Oklahoma. But a terrific athletic program in Morgantown. As a matter of fact, Bob Huggins likes to tweet about women's sports just about as much about men's sports. West Virginia women ranked in the top 25 in basketball as well. Abrams. Black, no. Weak side rebound. Goes to the Mountaineers. Here's Miles. He has a pair of 3-pointers already. More zone from the Fighting Illini. Seven to shoot. Miles. And a miss off the offensive rebound for West Virginia. And Pat Driscoll's going to get Daxter Miles Jr. for the hand check.
West Virginia foul called against number 4, Daxter Miles Jr.
8:47 to go. West Virginia looking to get past Illinois, and they would take on the Temple Owls in the championship of the NIT tip-off. Temple came from 18 down just a short time ago in this building to upset number 25 Florida State.
I'd like to see Illinois maybe go after Daxter Miles guy. This being his first game this year, he can't be in full game shape. There might be an opportunity to exploit him.
Lamont West with a hand on Malcolm Hill called for the foul. And as we just talked about, there's some of the Owls in attendance, anxiously awaiting.
If you take a look, the moment I said that, Miles is bent over grabbing his shorts right now. He's getting all he wants. as far as playing time, try to get him into shape that way.
Here's Black, not shy, around and out. Think he grabbed the offensive rebound, but he committed a foul on the way.
Yeah, Lamont West did a nice job blocking out and holding him off.
Something's wrong with LaRon Black's. I don't know if that's can't be a contact lens.
Returning for the Mountaineers, number 45, Elijah Macon.
Let's see, maybe it is.
What do you mean it can't be? Not everybody does LASIK.
Well, it looked
Come
like
on,
he was.
man.
It looked like he was handing it off to the training staff, like, "Here, take this for me." And he pops it right back in.
Yeah.
I always marvel at that. I need a mirror with my contacts, Len. I'd cost my team a timeout, or at very least, I'd cost myself some playing time. Here's Lamont West at the line.
Seriously, you can do this job with your eyes closed. Oh no, you can't.
Some people say I do. West, the 6'8", redshirt freshman from out of Cincinnati, averaging 14 minutes a game through the first 3 games of this season for West Virginia. Knocks them both down. 31-13, West Virginia on top, 8.5 to go, first half. That press is lurking.
Looked like he got away with it. A little bit of a stutter step.
Hill, his first 2 of the game. Malcolm Hill is on the board. Malcolm Hill had 40 points earlier this season against Northern Kentucky. The second highest scoring output by an individual so far this year. Inside, there's a West Virginia turnover. That's their second this afternoon. Coleman lands.
And see, that's the other thing the pressure does. Lulls you into that false sense of security. Did you take the first shot available instead of first good one? Nice block. Clean.
At the rim, Elijah Macon goes down and comes up empty-handed. Tate. Nice transition bucket for the Illini.
You talk about synchronicity. It is no coincidence that if you attack more times than not, you're going to get an open look and you got opportunities for follow. If you're Illinois, you just can't back down no matter how intense the pressure applied.
That jumper too strong. Little mini run for the Illini. Coleman lands, can't bury the 3. And Malcolm Hill gets fouled off the offensive rebound.
Well, Malcolm Hill, somewhat quiet, but he makes his presence known right here. Good movement without it, good spot up. They need more.
In Brooklyn, Rich Hollenberg, Len Elmore, the rest of the crew from ESPNU, wishing you and yours a happy Thanksgiving. West Virginia, no surprise, dominating in bench points, 17-4 in the early going. Len, they average nearly 50 points a game from their bench.
Yeah, I mean, it's just giving guys an opportunity to get in the ball game and do what they do best without worrying about wearing down. You come out and give maximum effort. You come out, you get a blow, you come back in, because there's plenty of playing time for everyone when you attack opponents like this with the pressure.
West Virginia's press has forced the Illini into 6 turnovers, and they've converted that into 10 points off those turnovers.
And West Virginia last year led the nation in bench points, 33.3 per game.
Hill goes 1 for 2. He has 4 points.
Returning for the Mountaineers, number 12, Tariq Phillip, number 20, Brandon Watkins, and number 23, Issa Ahmad.
Here's Ahmad. Baseline J, no. And Coleman Lands comes up with the loose ball. Illinois trying to build a little momentum against this vaunted West Virginia defense. And it's another West Virginia foul, this time on Lamont West.
West Virginia's backed it off just a little bit after the misses, getting back, playing a little more traditional, a little more solid defense. But that won't last long.
Both teams over the limit, so shooting 1-1 now. 6:25 to go in the first half. And as Jalen Coleman lands, attends the free throw line. Malcolm Hill just goes to the bench, and he's replaced by DJ Williams. Front end of the 1-1, no good. Here comes West Virginia.
Back in for Illinois, 0 DJ Williams.
Phillip, tough drive, comes up empty. And Illinois getting on the floor now. John Gross loves the effort.
There's that high screen again, looking to go inside out. Turn and look.
All alone, yes. Third field goal of the game from Michael Finke, and it's an 8-0 Illini run.
So again, attack that middle when you have the opportunity against that zone.
Watkins. Ten on the shot clock. A deep three by Phillip. Off the mark, but the offensive rebound is put back and in by Ahmad.
And right now in this sprint, it's almost like 2 steps forward, 1 step back for Illinois. Can't quite get over the hump. At least they got over the half-court line.
Nice diagonal look. Here's Finke again. And he's been their best offensive player, Len.
And we said it early in this game. If you solve the pressure, you're going to get good looks. And if you get the good wide open shots, you got to take them. You can't hesitate because you don't know when you're going to get another one.
Watkins high post. Carter will try from downtown. No. And a foul under the basket. It'll be staying here.
Look at the ball moving right there in the middle, or pretty much to the middle. And that's what they're doing. They're keeping the ball there. Draw the defenders. And now just a little inside out. And I'll tell you what, you can take a look at West Virginia. Some of their defenders are starting to get a little fatigued. They're not as bouncy as they were a little bit earlier. And that good ball movement will do it to him.
And John Gross trying to counteract all the depth that Bob Huggins throws at his opponents by freely substituting as well. He won't go as deep. Coach Huggs will go about 13 or 14 players at any given game. John Gross doesn't have that luxury, but he is making multiple substitutions to try to keep his players fresh. Ahmad misses the chance of the three-point play.
Returning from the line, number 13, Tracy Abrams, number 21, Malcolm Hill, and number 33, Mike Thorne Jr.
Abrams gets it to Thorne. 10 on the shot clock for the Fighting Illini. 5 to shoot. Tate doing an awful lot of dribbling and had to force that one up. Shot clock violation.
That was the
on the senior
operative
point guard.
That was the operative word. Too much dribble.
3:54 to go. Virginia up 9.
This is Cameron, where it's hard to get any crazier. And Duke, this may be your house, but these guys mean business. Michigan State, Duke, get ready for a blockbuster. Tuesday.
Well, Len, Michigan State might look like they're on the ropes. They've suffered a few losses already the early part of this season, but you know Tom Izzo's club will be ready come March. They lost to Baylor in the first round of the Battle for Atlantis from Paradise Island, and so Baylor advances to the championship, which will be tomorrow at 3:30 on ESPN, and they're awaiting the final between Wichita State and Louisville. It seems like the Illinois zone, which they're in right now, has been working to their effect. What's been the difference?
Well, the zone obviously has changed West Virginia's attack. It's covered the shooters and made it more difficult to get those uncontested looks. The offensive rebounding's still there. But also I think it's the pressure creates a bit of fatigue, so the intensity is not there.
And now a couple of big man reserves on the floor looking to supply some energy for Bob Huggins' club. That's Sagaba Kanate, who will go to the line. Also number 25, Machai Bender has checked in, a freshman from Warsaw, Poland.
And the other thing, over the last, let's say 8 minutes, Illinois has only turned the ball over twice, or 3 times since turning it over 7 times. I'm sorry, since turning over 4 times in the first several minutes of that game. So not getting opportunities to provide offense off of the defense has hurt West Virginia. They still are standing on 10 points off of turnovers.
Kanate misses both. They get it back, and they convert it to 2 points. Press Virginia once again.
See, those are the kinds of turnovers you have to avoid. You know, turn an opportunity into a loss.
Now Bender at the other end after a turnover.
And just when I said Illinois is avoiding the points off turnovers, here they give it up so quickly, lightning quick.
And how'd you like to look into the jersey of number 25, Machai Bender, a 6'10", 240 freshman at the head of that press, providing some energy.
Right there, relaxing with the ball, and you can't relax against the ever-moving hands of West Virginia. And then once again into a trap. You can't see around the big fella, can't see over the big fella and throw it away again. They just beat you in so many ways.
Bender didn't arrive in Morgantown until August, and believe it or not, the strength of his game, he could stretch the floor and shoot 3-pointers. I don't know if we'll see that this afternoon, but he certainly provided a spark off the bench for Bob Huggins' club.
Well, that's the Euro style right now. Big guys stretching defenses, you know, coming out of the middle and keeping the paint wide open. And it seems like the American basketball culture is starting to catch on. How many homegrown players do you see now at that size working more in their perimeter game than their back to the basket game?
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily like it, but you know, that's the trend.
And just north of here in Madison Square Garden, Kristaps Porzingis is trying to change the culture for the Knicks by doing just that, the 7-footer.
Anything that'll give Knick fans some hope.
Picked off again. 3 straight turnovers for Illinois. This time West Virginia can't capitalize.
If you're Illinois, you got to know, you got to watch those elbows. The way those elbows were thrown, that's not considered a legitimate basketball play because the forearms were horizontal and the ball wasn't up or down. It was right chest high.
Here comes Carter surveying.
Carrying the ball, you got to be careful.
Spin move. And good hands by Jalen Coleman-Lands, who tied up Brandon Watkins in the paint. It's going to be possession arrow West Virginia.
And what we saw in that quick spurt by West Virginia is their depth at work. Fresh guys coming off the bench, injecting new life, new energy into the pressure.
Talked about Michigan State's loss earlier today in the battle for Atlantis. How about Indiana getting upset by Purdue-Fort Wayne? And now next week they have to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels, who might be playing the best basketball in the country right now.
Well, I mean, the Indiana game against Fort Wayne was certainly a rivalry in-state game that, you know, Indiana had a target on their back from the get-go by the less than heralded Fort Wayne team. But I can tell you one thing for certain, it's going to be a long time before Tom Crane schedules a game on the road in state.
Brandon Watkins has 6 points, and it's back up to a 15-point West Virginia lead.
There it is again. When that ball is in the air for 2-3 seconds, automatically you might as well start running the other way. West Virginia is going to grab possession of that.
That foul's going to go on number 12 in blue, LaRon Black.
See, right now they're throwing the ball to spaces instead of people. And that plays right into the Mountaineers' hands. Guys have to move. Guys have to get in position. Make yourself available so that the ball handler can see you.
That foul was called on Coleman Lands. Tavon Myers off the mark with the free throw. Back in your days in Maryland, did you ever play a team that presses quite like West Virginia does?
And probably with the same intensity, North Carolina. North Carolina used to pressure you all the time, and you had to become accustomed to it. But once you did, and you had the athleticism and you had the stamina, you could solve that press, which we did more times than not.
Returning for the fighting lineup, number 1, Jalen Tate.
Here's Jalen Tate, who's just checked back in. And that'll be a West Virginia foul. It's going to go on Ahmad.
And John Gross likes the effort right there. Sometimes you just can't stop. Sometimes you have to run through the pressure, the adversity, the double team. Beat those guys to the spot instead of backing away.
Well, of course, we're in the home of the Brooklyn Nets, but about 30 years ago or so, it was the New Jersey Nets. They played at Brendan Byrne Arena, and look at this front line.
Oh, Lord.
All played at Maryland and all starred for the Nets. Len, Albert King, and Buck Williams.
Young team back then. They brought a old codger like me in to help kind of solidify that team, and started out, I believe, 2-11 and wound up winning 44 games, made the playoffs. That's a story I hope they would tell the Nets when they get off to the bad starts, that it's possible.
That one rolls off from Tate. We were talking earlier about that team. That was right when I was falling in love with the sport of basketball, and they had some good guards on that team as well. There's Issa Ahmad with the bucket. He has 6. Michael Ray Richardson played for the Nets back in those days. Darwin Cook and Foots Walker.
Daryl Dawkins, Otis Birdsong, and Mike Jaminski, Michael Korn, all my teammates.
Yeah.
I guess I probably should keep naming them in case some of them are watching that haven't been named.
How'd you get along with a Dookie like Jaminski?
Mike and I were the best of friends. We competed very well. So, I miss those days with those guys. I mean, good young team, good blend of talent, youth, and experience. And our coach was Larry Brown, who I consider probably the best coach that I ever played for because of his focus on fundamentals and getting the best out of guys by practicing the same things you do in the game over and over and over again, so people would never be surprised when they were placed in certain situations.
You'll appreciate this. I just did a Tulane game where Mike Dunleavy Sr. is their new head coach, and I asked him, why'd you get back into coaching on the college level at Tulane of all places? He said, I spent some time with Larry Brown. He's a good friend of mine. And Larry and I are two peas in a pod. We both like to teach. We talked about Fran Dunphy in game 1 of this doubleheader.
Not enough teaching.
Coaching
goes
is
on.
teaching, right.
Right, but even when you look at the game, Bob Huggins told us before the game, there aren't a lot of good basketball players, a lot of great athletes, a lot of highly skilled guys in some areas. But as far as basketball players, understanding how to play the game, high basketball IQ, steeped in the fundamentals, that doesn't happen anymore, and he thinks that's one of the reasons why his press has been uber successful.
Other teams don't know how to handle or respond to it on the fly.
Or they don't have the tools. And that's why I said not a lot of folks are being taught. A lot of coaches who think they can win games with schemes instead of winning games with players, fundamentally sound players. And that goes all the way back into the middle school and high schools where it should all begin.
Yeah. A lot of times on the AAU circuit now, it's all about shooting threes and dunking the basketball.
And I'm telling you, that is true, Rich, even for bigs. I'll never forget watching, this guy who was supposedly working out a big man. And instead of working him out, around the perimeter, he could shoot the three, sure. That's all he did was work on shooting threes. Not one time did he step into the paint. The kid was about 6'10". American-born.
Under a minute to go. 44-27. West Virginia's press has suffocated the Illini. West Virginia has forced 13 Illinois turnovers. There's a putback by Thorne Jr.
I'll tell you, on that last steal, one thing Michael Finke and his teammates are going to realize and understand, once you turn your back, you better be ready to pick it up and throw the ball in the opposite way, because that's where the press is coming from.
Use it or lose it timeout from Bob Huggins. West Virginia, they have 3 remaining, 20.8 to go. Reminder, after the break, we'll send it to the ESPNU studio for the halftime report. But here's what we've been seeing basically all first half from the West Virginia press.
Now watch Finke turn his back right there, and here comes the help. As soon as he turns his back, you know he's coming. And that shouldn't have been a surprise.
And that's a mismatch, too. A guard picking the pocket of one of the bigs on the Illinois side. 13 turnovers forced, 19 points off those turnovers. And now it's 13 turnovers, the half's 21 seconds away from being completed. This West Virginia team, against lesser competition, let's be honest, has forced 27 turnovers a game. They're on that pace again against Illinois.
I was just going to say, you know, when you look at it, you think, maybe they haven't played anybody representative. But here it is, you know, a team that's competitive in the Big Ten, and they may be on pace to turn them over 27 times.
Wins against Mount St. Mary's, Mississippi Valley State, and New Hampshire have gotten the West Virginia Mountaineers ranked number 19th to this point. Back-to-back 100-point games for Bob Huggins' club. First time they've done that in nearly 20 years. 1997 was the last time that was accomplished in Morgantown.
And the margin of victory coming into this game, plus 42.7 points per game. And I don't care who you're talking about. Those teams still play basketball. Those teams are still coached. I just think it's the intensity, it's the hunger of these Mountaineers that push them beyond what we would even believe that they can do against teams that aren't ready to handle the pressure.
Looks like we're ready to play basketball. 20.8 left in the half, 20 seconds on the shot clock. There's Tariq Phillip with the ball for the Mountaineers.
They're running what they call 1-4, looking for some penetration. Shooters come out, exchange. High screen right there.
Macon with the pick. Phillip the shot. No. And as time expires, the shot goes down for Elijah Macon, active on the offensive glass.
You say Macon, Lamont West is flexing his muscles.
Yeah,
too.
They gave it to West. Gang rebounding by the Mountaineers.
In a 1-4 set, it was just all about penetration. Get your guys on the glass, and yeah, the left hand of Lamont West. He knew it all along. Macon saying, I want credit, but look at the flex.
Give them a point each. The faithful from Morgantown have come to Brooklyn, and they love what they see so far. West Virginia up 48-29 at the half. After the break, we'll send it back to the ESPNU studio for the halftime report.
Too often, the inbounder gives too much time for the defense to set up. Back in the day, we used to try to get it in quickly before the defense sets up. Ball goes through, you step out here if you're right-handed, and these guys can take off before the defense ever gets set. Instead, look what happens. They take their time, the defense is now set up, and he just throws it right into trouble. I think that coaches make a huge mistake in getting guys to take their time and try to inbound the ball. You need to get it in quickly, turn, and look for your cutters. And if guys are flying down the court, you got to be able to hit them with a baseball pass, or you hit them in the middle of rotation before the defense sets up. You do that a few times, they call the press off because you're getting too many easy shots.
There's another turnover. Well, West Virginia throws it away. Issa Ahmad was looking right down center court, and that's just their third turnover of the afternoon.
You know, I can't tell you how many times in watching teams try to beat the press that they just take far too much time in getting the ball in bounds after a make. And see, this is a much better scheme right here, trying to get the ball in the middle. Now you just got to get it over the floor. If you got a handler, don't turn your back. Be strong with it.
Malcolm Hill, leading scorer for this Illini team, held to just 4 points in the first half. Came in averaging over 20 a game. Here's Black, 5 on the shot clock. 2 to shoot. Tate with the floater, no. Fresh 30 for the Fighting Illini. Jumper off the mark and a foul on Illinois.
Illinois foul called against number 12.
2.5 minutes in, not the way John Gross wanted to come out of the locker room.
I tell you what, again, you get an offensive rebound, and one thing that happens, you kick it back outside, and the anxiety takes over, and guys are throwing up quick shots again. You don't even test the defense. You don't get a chance to score or be fouled.
Tavon Myers and number 20, Brandon Watkins.
Now we're seeing zone from Illinois again. It was effective at times in the first half. Ten to shoot for the Mountaineers.
2-3 zones staying relatively packed, although the wings are extending.
Phillip, right down Broadway. Tariq Phillip off the window. A 10-0 start to start the second half.
That's got to be so deflating right there. You play good defense all the way down to the nub, and the guy just floats right in the middle and throws up a teardrop.
They just come at you in waves. Adrian has 4. And here comes the trap in the corner. And another Illinois turnover. They have come unraveled to start this second half, Len.
I totally agree. And again, I told you the angst takes over. And what happens is you're starting to rush. You're playing far too many RPMs than you're capable of playing with any type of comfort. And that's playing right into West Virginia's hands.
5 turnovers in 3.5 minutes of play. Adrian. Tough baseline jumper.
And see, those are the mental errors right there where you're not. Sorry.
And look at Bob. Look at Hugs. He's saying, why? To Tavon Myers.
And when he turns around, he's got a smile. He'd give you that scowl. But with this kind of lead, he can laugh at it. He's trying to tell guys, come on, man. You don't dunk in practice. What are you trying to do it here?
And it shouldn't go unnoticed. Impressive passing by this West Virginia team, too.
Oh, there's no question. When they turn you over, they know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah, they averaged 21.7 assists coming in. Who wins the haircut battle between Ficky and Adrian? That's a debate for another time. Nice step in. Around Black. And that's one way to beat the press.
Well, it's probably the way to beat the press. Once you can get past that wave of double teams and keep the ball in the middle, you've got to attack.
Adrian. And he'll go to the line. The foul's going to go on Malcolm Hill. Players who might have put together the best non-conference resume so far in the country. They've taken down Oregon, VCU, and now Michigan State. Late in the game, Louisville's up on Wichita State, so that could be a battle of top 25 teams in the Paradise Islands. Feast Week news and notes. UConn took it on the chin again, that 2-4 record, their worst 6-game start since 71-72. North Carolina rolled to the Maui Invitational title. Kennedy Meeks chipping in with a career-high 15 points and 16 rebounds. And tonight, the highest scoring team in the nation, UCLA, takes on Portland. They're 14th ranked in the country. West Virginia not too far behind, averaging 98 points a game to UCLA's 105 so far for Steve Alford's club.
Well, we saw one high flyer get brought down to the ground in Florida State, getting beat today by Temple. But when you take a look at that list with UConn, it doesn't get any easier. Terry Larrier, gets injured, probably out for the season. Kevin Ollie's got to make an adjustment there and find, another offensive threat. And Rodney Purvis probably has to get up off the deck, not shooting the ball very well. And we talk about Lonzo Ball, another freshman from down under who seems to be dominating the scene.
Saw a couple of good ones in our first game. Jonathan Isaac from Florida State and Quentin Rose from Temple.
Yeah, it won't be long before those guys start making a few headlines. Obviously they don't come from the blue-blooded teams. Although Temple, I think they're fourth as far as all-time wins. They've got a legacy that people just aren't familiar with, but they've been winning for a long, long time.
1,800 plus wins for Temple University. And all Fran Dunphy does is defy expectations year in, year out. Here's Hill.
To be exact, they're fifth on the all-time list of wins. Kentucky, Kansas, Carolina, Duke, the ones you would expect.
Yep.
And here comes Temple.
Pride of the Big Five. 7 to shoot for the Mountaineers. Myers. Too much one-on-one. Here comes Tracy Abrams. He's been quiet, only 1 bucket in this contest.
And that's what this pressure does. I mean, constant pressure, full court, half court, takes you out of your schemes, and it doesn't allow your best players to really exert themselves.
Rebound goes to Black, lost it out of bounds. It'll stay Illinois basketball. John Gross loves the effort.
And it's so tough now for a coach in a situation like this, where a team has thoroughly dismantled you, taken you out of everything that you practice. It's so difficult for a coach to try to get his team back into that kind of rhythm, even though the game may be lost. You got to get them back into good habits. You got to stay positive in many ways. Now, this is where coaches earn their money, just like announcers.
20 turnovers now for Illinois, just 3 for the Mountaineers. Executing their game plan to perfection. Phillip initiated the contact, got away with it. And we'll have a jump ball. It'll be possession arrow, West Virginia. 10 seconds on the shot clock, 14:09 to go in this second semifinal. The winner faces the Temple Owls in the NIT season tip-off championship. The 3 from West off the mark. Here's Abrams leading the charge. Nice move from Tracy Abrams. Grad student out of Chicago. Missed the last 2 seasons for John Gross, but is back at full strength and maybe even better than ever. Coach Gross, speaking about him the other day, said he's such a better floor leader than he ever was before, and all that time off made him a better shooter and a stronger player as well. We see West knock down the 3.
When you have that time and you're sitting on the bench, you absorb the game differently. You get a better understanding. You gain some perspective.
Said he sees and anticipates things better. Here's Abrams again. Finke the rebound, and Mike Finke will go to the line and shoot 2. He was really the best offensive player on the floor for Illinois in the first half with 10 points left.
Well, right now, if I'm John Gross, this might be a good time to, on the next television timeout, to sit there and tell my guys, look, and we'll probably get it around 12, under 12. Let's take this last 11 and whatever and try to be the best basketball players we be. Okay, we made mistakes and we've gotten to this point against this pressure, but we've seen it now. We've seen it for 30 minutes. Now's the time for us to gather ourselves and play this like it was a 0-0 game. That's how you're going to get the best out of these guys. That's how you're going to get them to learn from the mistakes and the challenges that they face today. You don't let them just go off in their own separate ways. You don't provide them with no guidance whatsoever. Like I said, this is probably the hardest time for a coach to coach. This is the time where you really got to provide them with direction and guidance so that they can look at this and find some kind of learning opportunity despite the despair.
And one would hope for a veteran Illinois roster that would be a little bit easier to accomplish than with much younger roster than some other programs have. But they have the oldest roster in the Big Ten, 6 seniors on this team. You would think they'd be able to respond the way that you're talking about.
Well, you would hope. And you would hope that the seniors pull the guys together while they're on the floor and not wait for coach to do it on the sideline. You know, sometimes you got to admit your losses, but you got to find the silver lining out there.
And Pat Driscoll gets LeRon Black for the foul away from the ball.
See, and it's little things like that that demonstrate you losing your discipline. You know, silly fouls like grabbing and holding and things. This is where you got to buckle down and play your best basketball. Throw the score out the window.
And Black forced to the bench. Maverick Morgan, one of John Gross's starters, checks back in.
Playing this game successfully, you're going to make it a game of habits, good habits.
Konate threw it out of bounds off the hands of Phillip. But it's a dead ball turnover. And that means they're able to set up their pressure again.
See, I don't know if you're like me. They got to set up their pressure. But now that the game is where it is right now, I'm feeling like, okay, set up your best press because this time we're going to break it.
Tejon Lucas just checked in for the first time and promptly threw the ball away. There's the look up ahead, and Lucas, one of the guards for Illinois, trying to go up against one of the mountain men for the Mountaineers.
And you take a look, even though he's a secondary defender, he goes up to try to block the shot, maintains his principle of verticality, and therefore, even with the incidental contact, no foul call, because that's the new rule.
And you talk about keeping your poise. We just got done talking about that, how veteran this team is, and Tracy Abrams gets whistled for a tee.
Look, it's tough. This is where you got to, like you say, maintain the poise, but more than anything, you're a team leader. You can't show that. And this is what the guys, that's what the coach is telling them right now. Come on, man. They're going to follow your example.
Adrian misses the first. And he goes 1 for 2 on the technical free throws, and now Sagaba Konate will step to the line and shoot a pair. 66-34. West Virginia jumping out to the early lead. The Illinois Fighting Illini showed some fight in the first half of the first 20 minutes of play, but as per usual, West Virginia just wears on you and pressures you and erodes any type of poise that you might have in the early going, and they have just dominated this contest. Now Hill.
You see how Hill, I mean, he just was anticipating contact, physical play. As soon as the double team came, before they even got close to him, he grabbed the ball and he ducked his shoulder kind of to protect the ball a little bit and couldn't see anything. That's what the press does, it intimidates.
Here's Hill using a couple of ball fakes to draw the foul.
You know, watch this. As soon as the double team comes, I look at him pick it up, and now he starts to protect himself, turn his head, look down at the ground. Come on. You got to look up in the face of that kind of pressure. You've got to be able to see the floor and be able to hit the open man and still maintain strength with the ball.
Is that a situation you see when he saw the press coming? He actually retreated a couple of dribbles. Is that the wrong thing to do?
Absolutely.
After LSU Texas A&M, sit back with some leftovers and watch Nicole Briscoe and Kenny Mayne host SportsCenter at night on ESPN. They'll have all the college basketball highlights plus NFL, NHL, college hoops, you name it, they'll have it on the Thanksgiving Eve edition of SportsCenter at Night.
But Rich, to get back to your point, you know, it can't get any worse. You know, as a double team comes, why not try something new? Why not try to be strong with the ball, but maintain your court vision? Have the ball in position to be able to pass to someone open instead of ducking and shielding.
Good hands by Phillip, nearly caused another turnover. Now he jumps all over it.
Well, that was caused by getting up in the air and not knowing what you wanted to do with it. And that's when you're most vulnerable to this kind of pressure.
Tough shot. Konate shot that from behind the backboard, but the offensive rebound goes to Tavon Meyer. More pressure. Doesn't matter that they're up 34.
They're relentless, and they are not going to give up. That's their game. I don't think they know how to play any other way. More power to them.
Hill took it himself.
Okay, that'll make up for the time where he kind of, and I use this in the right way and not in an adverse way to him, but he kind of cowered with the ball the last time. This time he showed kind of what he's made of.
11 West Virginia Mountaineers have gotten in the scoring column, not one in double figures. Talk about a team effort. The Mountaineers up by 32. It has been a busy week here at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, or as I like to call it, the land of Len. On Tuesday, Notre Dame won the Legends Classic. That's their 4th straight win at the Barclays, including 2 last year in the NCAAs. Wednesday, the Celtics beat the Nets. The Nets have really struggled this year to a 4-10 record. Al Horford coming back with a win for the Celts. And then today, of course, we witnessed that 18-point comeback by Temple over 25th ranked Florida State. And there's more college hoops after we leave here on Friday, Len. Syracuse will be in town.
So will the Maryland Terrapins.
That's right.
But focus on this game. I mean, the story of this game is 22 turnovers by Illinois, 30 points off turnovers. You know, Illinois had to be prepared for it, and I'm sure tactically they were, but psychologically there's nothing you can do in practice that will replicate what you're seeing.
And no one home for the rebound as Nathan Adrian picks up his own miss and puts it back.
I mean, there's no way in the world in a practice situation that, you know, they can duplicate what West Virginia brings with their intensity, physical play. "30 points off turnovers. My goodness.
Yeah. Compared to 0 for Illinois.
That's right. Only 4 turnovers by West Virginia.
They've dominated in all the key categories. West Virginia outscoring Illinois by 20 in the paint, 15-6 in second chance points, and of course dominating bench points as they usually do. Nice catch down low. Elijah Macon has another 2. 11 for Macon, making him the first Mountaineer in double figures.
See, there they go, under the basket. You cannot throw a long pass standing under the basket.
Loose ball. Out of bounds, it'll stay Illinois basketball.
And why is that important? Because oftentimes you can throw over that first wave of trappers and get an advantage break situation if you can throw a long pass, maybe to half court. But you'll never be able to do it if you take the ball in bounds out under the basket.
And now right in front of the Illinois bench, it'll be Jalen Tate inbouncing and Javon Carter, one of the best defensive players in the country, guarding the inbounds. Counting down to 9 minutes to go in this semifinal. Coleman Lands knocks down a 2-pointer. First field goal of the game for Jalen Coleman lands.
And guess what? That's his first 2-point field goal of the season. Prior to that, he had 14 field goals. All of them were threes.
And Adrian still working hard under the bucket.
Illinois foul called against number 5, Jalen Coleman lands, his third, team's 9th.
I've just been told that the last bucket by Elijah Macon makes it only with 9 points. Why is that? Because there was a bucket at the end of the first half as the buzzer sounded. I thought Macon dropped it. You thought Lamont West dropped it in. They originally gave it to West, changed it back to Macon, and I've just been told they changed it back to Lamont West. So as usual, Len Elmore's right. Even when you're wrong, you're right.
I get the good eye.
So now Nathan Adrian has a chance to be the first Mountaineer in double digits, and he is. 10 for Adrian, 74-39, West Virginia lead.
But think about that. Think about that balance and what that press does, gets everybody involved. 74 points, only one guy in double figures. That is amazing.
Left hand, Carter, pretty. 10 points for Javon Carter.
Everybody on this team for West Virginia has scored. Everybody's hovering around the 6, 7, 8 point mark. Obviously, Adrian steps up and goes beyond that. But that's what that press does. Everybody gets involved, and that's one of the reasons why they play with such intensity.
Foul's going to go on Illinois. Coleman lands.
Again, here's the attack. Just taking it straight to the cup. Nobody standing in the way. And this is what I mean by getting the ball in bounds quickly. That's one of the few times, if any, that Illinois has gotten the ball inbounds very quickly after a make and beat the defense down the floor.
And Javon Carter going to the bench, if not just momentarily, out of Maywood, Illinois. Played for Proviso East High School. You think he's playing with a little extra juice going up against the boys from Champaign?
I got a feeling playing for Bob Huggins, it wouldn't matter if you
got to bring the juice day in, day out.
That's right.
Ahmad misses both free throws. Another offensive rebound and an easy 2 for Kanate.
It was a grown man jam.
5 for Kanate. And a whistle called in the backcourt on Pat Driscoll. We have a timeout on the floor, under 8. 7:47 to go. It's all West Virginia. That 19th ranking, pretty safe for now as they're looking to move on to the finals of the NIT Championship. Here's a quick recap in case you missed any action from Barclays earlier today. The freshman Quentin Rose with a career-high 26 points to lead an 18-point Owls comeback, and they topple 25th-ranked Florida State 89-86. And that begs the question, Len, if West Virginia will advance in this game, and it certainly looks like they're going to with 7:47 left, how will Temple handle this kind of pressure from West Virginia?
Well, it's going to come down to whether or not Temple can handle the physical element of it. You know, I think they've got ball handlers and they've got passers that are smart enough to get good angles, to come and meet the ball. I'm sure Fran Dunphy can devise some schemes that'll get guys at V-cuts and come back to it, and maybe even enter the ball early after they make shots. But the bottom line is whether or not they are tough enough and whether or not the officials are going to help them along a little bit, the invasion of the cylinder and those types of things. You got to want the contact in order to beat that pressure.
Excellent work by Michael Finke.
And I mentioned you want it. You don't try to avoid it, because it's going to come.
Left hand by Ahmad, no good. Now some transition basketball from the Illini. Thorne works his way inside. 6 points for Mike Thorne Jr.
And right there, Thorne didn't shy away from the contact. He went right at Kanate. You know, you're seeing little bits and pieces of what you have to do against West Virginia. Maybe they've let down on their intensity a little bit, but nevertheless, those are the things that you have to do to have some success. Problem is, you've got to maintain it on a consistent basis.
Early on this season, after this game included, West Virginia Mountaineers becoming must-see TV if you're a college basketball fan. Top 5 in the country in scoring offense. Top 10 in the country in scoring defense. They do it at both ends of the floor, and it's all predicated on that tagline, Press Virginia.
Not only is it predicated on that type of play, but it's correlated. The fact that they're scoring a lot of points. We just mentioned 30-plus points off of turnovers. That's at least, you know, almost a third, or will be a third of the offense once this game is over, because I suspect West Virginia will score about 90-some-odd points.
Now, I read where someone said that this season Bob Huggins was going to be wearing quote-unquote regular clothes as he's coaching on the sidelines. We're all used to the famous black track shirt, the black pants, and I don't see anything different. Maybe when the conference schedule starts, but it looks like the same old Hugs to me.
Who's to say when you talk about regular clothes, man?
That's why I put it in
regular
quotes.
in the eye of the beholder.
And you're right. Those are regular clothes for Hugs.
That's right.
Sitting on that stool ever since last year. He was recovering from hip surgery, and the doctors told him you have to sit when you're coaching on the sidelines. And then he goes, I will. And then 5 minutes later, he's standing up and walking up and down the sideline.
Well, the stool is a little bit higher, so it takes the pressure off standing up and sitting down. I understand that.
Up and under, blocked. Mountaineers defense suffocating on both.
And even with this lead, 34-point lead, he's not backing down. He hasn't stopped coaching. And I like that.
First shot for Chase Harler was off the mark. He's a local product out of Moundsville, West Virginia. Went to Wheeling Central.
You know, neither of these guys have stopped coaching. John Gross on the other side continually urging his guys.
DJ Williams whistled for the foul. Well, the reality of it is, Len, both of these teams have games tomorrow. It's not like Illinois can lick its wounds. They're going to be facing the 25th ranked team in the country tomorrow afternoon.
Well, that's where the amnesia comes in. You got to forget this one. If you're going to show this video to the players tonight, you better show the positive stuff. Accentuate the positive and just forget the negative.
Adrian inconsistent from the free throw line, and free throws have not really been a strong suit today for West Virginia. Just 16 for 29.
Hey, they only shoot 62% on the season. But, you know, talk about adjusting your game and, you know, going past the negatives. The way they play, so far they haven't needed to be good free throw shooters.
Adrian leads with 11 points. And there's a turnover. Adrian wide open at the other end. Two-hand jam. He's right on his season average, 13 for Nathan Adrian. And there's a follow slam by Thorne. Talk about no rest for the weary. Illinois plays West Virginia today, and then they go against Florida State tomorrow. Both teams play about 11 or 12 guys, come at you in waves. Super talented and athletic. What a challenge for John Gross and company.
And you got to believe that Florida State obviously licking their wounds from a loss that probably shouldn't have been.
And a 10-second backcourt violation called on Tejan Lucas.
We talked about the cylinder that offensive and defensive players are entitled to. And you saw a bunch of contact there. See, there's the ball fake to step in. Nope, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think Lucas stepped away from the cylinder.
Right, Lucas never really, tried to make a play with the ball high or low. He just tried to avoid and turned his back on it. If anything, there might have been a reach that wasn't called, but that was right at the point where 10 seconds was called.
And a lot of old gold and blue in this Barclays Center crowd cheering on their Mountaineers. Bender gets his own miss. And Bender gets the bucket. 4 points for Machi Bender. And for what it's worth, this is the largest lead of the game. Thorne. Yes, he's shown some offensive skill.
And primarily because he's shown some toughness down low. He's gotten the ball and made assertive moves, taking contact and dishing out contact. And that's the only way you could match West Virginia.
.13 in white. James Long on for Bob Huggins' club. He's a West Virginia native himself.
If you can't stand the contact, if you let the contact throw you off your game, you're not going to be able to beat West Virginia. And I'm talking about legal contact too. This game does have incidental contact, and they don't mind initiating it.
Harler. Tantalizingly close. The crowd wanted it for the West Virginia native. Lucas.
Well, if there's a bright spot for Illinois, it's Mike Thorne Jr. Strong presence in the paint. He's showing the way.
And this is why we love college sports fans. Even though Allie's Illini aren't winning right now, they're trailing West Virginia 86-49. She is still full of energy, full of pep, rooting for her Fighting Illini. She'll be here tomorrow when they take on Florida State.
I don't know, unless she plays sports. A cheerleading scholarship, there she is.
And she's dabbing
action.
away. She's got it all going on. Rich Hollenberg, Len Elmore, wishing you and yours a happy Thanksgiving.
Don't you love Thanksgiving? That's what it's about, man.
It really is.
It's about the kids. And the families.
As we said earlier, family, food, and in our case, fast breaks, dominating Thanksgiving. And we'll be at it again tomorrow. The championship game will be at 3 o'clock on ESPN2. It's going to be Temple and West Virginia.
And we go from it being about the families and food to being about the bargains. Black Friday.
I am more than happy to be sitting right next to you, partner, instead of shopping in a mall somewhere.
I'm going to say, yeah, with your wallet in your pocket, right?
With 4 on the shot clock. James Bolden's off the mark on his first shot. 2:45 left. Three-pointer, no good. And there's Thorne again.
I tell you, my man is battling inside. And each guy has to take it upon themselves. This now is about pride for Illinois. Granted, the frontline guys for West Virginia are not on the floor. But it doesn't mean that you let up in your effort.
And the foul's going to go on Harlan.
West Virginia foul called against number 14, Chase Harlan.
Aaron Jordan making his first appearance for the Illini, stepping up to the free throw line.
Mountaineers are over the limit. Aaron Jordan at the line shooting 1 and 1.
34 points off turnovers for West Virginia. If Jordan makes this free throw, it'll be Illini's first in that category. At least they didn't get skunked.
Oh, the other side of that story that has a lot to do with the points off turnovers is 52 points in the paint for West Virginia. And rarely did they throw it in to somebody with their back to the basket. This was all about layups, off of the turnovers, about excellent ball movement to get guys layups and smart cuts to the basket. just like that one right there, back door that they missed.
Ten on the shot clock.
Traveling.
And a traveling violation called on West Virginia. A rare turnover for them. As much as they turn over the other team, that's just their 6th turnover this afternoon. If Bob Huggins' company can keep this up during the conference schedule, look out Big 12.
The only thing I would say, though, is familiarity breeds a lot of contempt, and Big 12 teams have played against this kind of pressure. So I don't see them, especially the upper echelon, I don't see them blowing teams like that out, but they sure will make it difficult.
Around and out for Lucas. We're going the other way. West Virginia will open their Big 12 slate on the road on December 30th at Stillwater, taking on a very good Oklahoma State Cowboys team, who, by the way, is coached by Brad Underwood, who was Stephen F. Austin's coach, who upset the Mountaineers in this building last March. So you talk about familiarity, Brad Underwood has a little bit of a head start on playing the Mountaineers.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about not only Oklahoma State, you're talking about Baylor, you're talking about Iowa State quality point guard play, and Monty Morris. I mean, and of course Kansas, Frank Mason, and the rest of them, man. It's going to be interesting in how teams handle this kind of pressure. This might be the best press that West Virginia has ever applied, but it's no guarantee.
Iowa State off to a good start. They got past Indiana State today at the Advocare down in Orlando by just a bucket, 73-71. Steve Prohm's club escaping the first round there, back into the semifinal bracket.
He hit us, 33 seconds left, and they're coaching him up.
Bolden leaned in, trying to draw contact, nothing doing. Here's a three, and Aaron Jordan knocks it down. Well, this will put a cap on it. A dominating performance for the 19th ranked West Virginia Mountaineers. 89-57. They came in with an average margin of victory of 43. And they almost did it again to the Big Ten's Illinois Fighting Illini. A balanced scoring output. Nathan Adrian led the way with 13. Elijah Macon had 9, Tavon Myers had 9, and Javon Carter had 10. But they dominated in the turnover department. They dominated on the bench, and they controlled this one from the jump. West Virginia improves to 4-0. Illinois has lost 2 in a row now after starting the season 4-0. Once again, your final score, West Virginia downs Illinois 89-57. Coming up next on ESPNU, 30 for 30, I hate Christian Laettner. For Len Elmore, I'm Rich Hollenberg. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and good night from Brooklyn.